for a GT battle as Lime Rock Park hosted round 7 of the series. Mike Dam would bring the GT field to the green, and it was Travis Schwenke that would begin the early pressure on Dam as they entered No Name Straight for the first time. By lap 5, traffic was already a factor as the number 118 of Orion Collins makes an evasive move to overtake Jennifer McDonald, and in the process, Ricmotech GT Challenge, broadcasted Mondays live on Apex Racing TV. Visit ExtremeMotorsports99.com for series and scheduled details. Broadcast coverage next.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the finale of the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series here at Daytona International Speedway. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Larry Malloy, with Alex and Dennis Branch in the production booth with us tonight. It's the finale of the GT Challenge. Larry, how are you feeling about tonight?
It's exciting because we are under the lights in Daytona, and that's always exciting when you're under the lights. This is going to be great. We've got a championship still up for grabs. We go from a couple weeks ago from the tiniest little bull ring up there in the Northeast to the big, bad Daytona under the lights track. This is going to be super exciting tonight.
It certainly is. The GTE Championship goes to Dennis Savertek as he quits the 2020 Season 3 GTE champion. So congratulations to our champion, Dennis Savertek. But the GT3 separated by just 4 points after all the drop weeks, after all the penalties, after all the bonus points were assessed after last round. 4 points separate Cameron Martineau and Elvis Rankin as they head into the final round. And just to give you guys of the chaos that was last round in Lime Rock Park, here is the recap video.
It was a perfect day for a GT battle as Lime Rock Park hosted round 7 of the series. Mike Dam would bring the GT field to the green, and it was Travis Schwenke that would begin the early pressure on Dam as they entered No Name Straight for the first time. By lap 5, traffic was already a factor as the number 118 of Orion Collins makes an evasive move to overtake Jennifer McDonald, and in the process has a close call with the GT3 driver on exit of the downhill. Mike Dam began to stretch his lead over the next 25 laps and had that Porsche 911 on autopilot. Travis Schwenke continued to battle through traffic in his BMW, making every effort to stay with that leader Mike Dam. As GT3 got underway, it was the number 1 of Elvis Rankin that would launch the field to green and take a 3-car length gap into turn 1. Problems started early, though, as D2D Esports teammates got together, sending Chris Thorman for a ride in the opposite direction. After stretching a several-second lead over second place, Elvis Rankin finds himself deep on the brakes in turn 3 and makes a great save in the grass area to recover and maintain that lead. By now, teammate Cameron Martineau had closed within 3 seconds of the leader and was determined to continue his momentum. On lap 27, Daniel Munoz would find himself in a hold-your-breath moment as he loses control at turn 1 and ends up clipping the front end of Derek Holland. Then came a scary wreck for the number 38 of Jeff Jacobs as he would find himself tangling with Tyler Guillemette at the downhill and ending his race early, bringing out the caution. After returning to green on lap 42, the Ford GT of Jordy Fife would find himself leading the field into 1, but then just 2 laps later, Jordy would overshoot the entry to the chicane, causing he and Schwenke to make contact, dropping them back to the rear of the field. By lap 55, Collins, Hartley, Chan, and McDonald had tightened up the battle. However, traffic was not in their favor in the chase for leader Mike Dam. Ryan Collins was having a solid run in second until breaking too deep into the chicane, allowing Robert Hartley to now take over second. Back in the GT3 class, the leader Elvis Rankin would misjudge his braking under the caution lap and would collect 2 cars, warranting a drive-through penalty under green, sending him back to third place. Trouble would continue for the number 1 of Rankin as he makes contact with the number 7 of Tony Kernan and was issued another drive-through penalty. In the end, for GT3, it was the number 112 Aquila Racing Machine of Cameron Martineau taking the victory, with D2D driver Chris Thorman grabbing a strong second place. And for GTE, it was the Orion Racing Porsche of Mike Dam who would pick up his second win of the season.
Welcome back to Daytona here for the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series as we are getting ready for qualifying to start up here at Daytona International Speedway. A complete 180 in track style compared to what we saw last time at Lime Rock Park. Larry, what are some of the highlights and best parts of this track?
Well, the action's all going to come through. You've got the downhill into the first turn, of course, coming off of that banking. It's always intense there as it just kind of bottlenecks right into that. You got the back-to-back horseshoes with the International Horseshoe at one end, the West at the other. And then, of course, you go out on the banking on the main oval, but then you've got that back straight chicane, which just makes it interesting as the whole, at some point, you've got to shut it down. If there's passes to be made, that's a great place if you can get some drafting going into there. But I tell you what, this is going to be an interesting race because you've got all these places for really good passing, and it takes a lot of control to come out of the oval and back onto the infield. But you've got we talked earlier about the battles and only a couple of points separating this GT3 standings. But I imagine right now in that drivers' meeting, it's pretty tense between those drivers as they're getting ready for this race.
And as they are getting ready for this race and getting ready for qualifying, we're going to take you around a lap of Daytona International Speedway.
Welcome, everyone, to Daytona International Speedway here in beautiful, sunny Daytona Beach, Florida. Great to have you with us as we provide your track guide today around this 3.56-mile road course. We will start our guide today from the beautiful 31-degree banking here at Daytona. That's right, the world center of racing, where speed and agility and endurance is what it's all about. Coming out of the NASCAR Turn 4 or Turn 12 of the road course, we're going to pick up some speed heading down to that stripe here at Daytona as we cross the starting line and head down into Turn 1. Boy, this is a busy corner, heavy on the brakes here, down through the gears. With traffic, this corner can be very difficult. You want to get a good launch up off this turn here as it takes you into Turn 2. Very slight little S section, and then down into Turn 3 here, the infamous International Horseshoe here at Daytona. Tight apex corner. Want to get right out to the outside there to get a good launch, get some speed up through this very fast internal section of the road course, around Turn 4 here, and ultimately down into Turn 5. Heavy braking here, late apexing corner, let that car rotate, get right back to the bottom, and track it right out to the outside. This will bring us to Turn 6 here. This will bring us right back up to the banking as we come down off the brakes and get right back to throttle. Very difficult there, off camber and very slippery. Tough turn to get that traction to bite as we come back up onto the 31-degree banking through Turn 7. Of course, this section right here is the best opportunity for overtaking your competitors, as there is an enormous amount of slipstream here at Daytona. And coming down into the bus stop, you'll see a lot of changes in position happening here. Down through the gears, smooth entry into 8, through 9, through 10, out of 11, and then ultimately up the banking into Turn 12 as we pick up speed once again to head down that very fast front straightaway. Boy, you'll see a lot of overtaking happening here at the end of a race, certainly for that finishing lap, as this is where it all takes place. Drivers 2, 3, 4 wide sometimes, trying to take that victory and walk away with a win from the World Center of Racing. Thanks so much for being with us. There's your track guide for Daytona International Speedway.
And we're back. Thank you for that wonderful lap guide around Daytona. Time to see these guys tackle it for real. as we look at our championship standings. Dennis Sauertech claims the GTE championship ahead of Mike Dam, Travis Schwenke, Jennifer McDonald, Orion Collins, Arthur Chan, Jordy Feike, Justin Corral, Jonathan Corral, Rafael Sosa, Robert Hartley, Wajin Jajuda, and Andreno, and Michael Acrudo at the end of that 14-car championship standings. But it's all here right now. All the eyes are on that top 2 spots, the GT3 champion. They will be crowned here today. Elvis Rankin, Cameron Martineau. Who is going to be the one to be on top and hoisting that championship trophy? Elvis Rankin leading by 4 points ahead of Cameron Martineau, as they're the only 2 that are going to be able to be competing for the championship. Tyler Giametti, he finishes in 3rd of the championship. They're followed by Chris Thorman, Jose Diolio, Kevin Ford, Tony Kernan, Jeff Jacobs, Bobby Childs, Derek Holland, Russ Ruddick, Steve Daniel, Daniel Munoz, David Payton, Scott Brooks, William Dillon, Caleb Lavender, Kevin Hawkinson, David Duino, Nathan Manning, Raymond Rodriguez, Joel Lee, Matthew Milner, Jeremiah Kellum, and Ken Ladd at the end of the championship standings. As we are looking at Elvis Rankin right now, battling for the championship, and he's definitely going to be battling for that pole position, because if you can get it clear the pack here, you're going to be in for a good time, because the draft here is so powerful.
It's a really powerful draft, and you do want to be out in the front. As I mentioned here right before we did our track guide, there is typically the first turn coming off of the banking on the start of the green flag is chaotic. You've got, we're going to have a pretty big field here tonight. It's somewhere in the order of about 25 total cars. Each field's going to have, I'm guessing roughly in the 12 cars in each class. That's going to be a big group coming down into that first turn, and it's extremely difficult, to put it gently. It's if you're at the lead of that pack, you've got the best shot of picking out your braking zone. You can take a nice clean inside line and try and get away before the chaos ensues behind you. So if you are Cameron, or if you are Elvis, your job is to get on that front row, to be on those front 1 or 2, and not worry about what's behind you, to just get out and go. If you get up on the oval and someone's tracking you and in your draft, you just try and turn your mirrors down and go. But right now is when that job's got to get done, because you got to get out there and you got to put in some qualifying laps. You don't have time to mess around and put tires off. Things like cutting the chicane a little bit. You can easily get a 1x at that chicane. I know how easy that is. I've done that myself a few times. That's one spot people tend to do that. So you've really got to be cautious there. You're going to get a couple shots at it here in this 15-minute qualifying session, but at the end of the day, you got to put a good one down.
4 laps, 15 minutes, and well, a little bit of a wiggle room for mistake here and there here in Daytona. I would say the most difficult part of this track is heading into turn 1. Getting your brakes right and not locking up the tires. That's mostly a GTE concern because they don't have the ABS. But in the GT3s as well, you could just go into a complete swampland of the brakes if you head into there very wrong.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Even though they got ABS, the car will just push like crazy if you try to use nothing but ABS coming in off of that banking. It'll send you right into that asphalt runoff all the way out to that tire barrier. And even if you do contain it, you're going to lose 3 and 4 seconds to your competition as they make that left turn and head off to the International Horseshoe. So it's very gentle on the brakes. You got to brake a lot earlier than what you think. And if you think you're going to start pushing deep, as we got a great shot here of Kevin Ford making his way around, he does it right. Very clean, crisp on the brakes there in that Ferrari. That's how you need to be able to do that. You got to be braking early, nice, tight line all the way around that left-hander as he's going through the International Horseshoe there.
Riding on board with Jeff Jacobs and Russ Ruddick. Our 2 in the center of the screen. Also, we're riding on board with Arthur Chan, who has got his own version of a health camp going on the bottom left.
Got a little bit of everything going on there.
Yeah, man, Arthur, I love that style. At first I just thought, oh, he's got a nice camera set up behind him. Then it started moving.
And he's got the helmet cam going on top of his triple screen, so we really get the vantage point of what he's seeing. That's too cool.
That is extremely cool. I'm jealous of that. I've always wanted to attempt a helicopter cam, but I just didn't know where the camera.
Well, I have it in my real race car, but notice Arthur's showing us what it's also like with the helmet cam when you run into a tire barrier.
Back on the track, looking at Bobby Childs, who joins us on track for the first time in a while. He hasn't been in the Ricmotech series. He's been joining us in chat, but I guess his sabbatical was up and he wanted to end out the season with a bang. And here is the other championship contender, Cameron Martineau. Hasn't set a lap time yet. Just waited a little bit before coming out onto the track. So Cameron needs to get up there to where Elvis Rankin is in that 144.532 if he wants to have a chance to beat Elvis by 4 points and take the championship.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long night, but he's got to make sure he at least gets up on that front row with Elvis. Doesn't necessarily have to out-qualify him. Just has to, you know, the tortoise can beat the hare. He just has to play the long game with him. But he doesn't want to find himself sitting on the second or third or fourth row in qualifying for sure.
Yeah, the points, if it's Elvis Rankin, Cameron Martineau, Cameron just has to beat Elvis. If it's first place, Elvis second place, Cameron will win. Cameron will actually...
I think he needs a bonus point.
He does need a bonus point.
And then it comes down to tiebreakers. I think there's a 3-point difference between first and second place, and then so he needs 4, so I think he needs an extra bonus point that Elvis doesn't get. And there's bonus points for laps, for leading a lap, for being less than a certain number of incidents. There's all different bonus points that can be awarded. So it may come down to that if Cameron's able to win this race and beat Elvis straight up. And if Elvis isn't any higher than third and Cameron wins, then it might go just completely in Cameron's favor without any need for any sort of tiebreakers. If they end up in a straight up tie, then we just Rochambeau and we'll see what happens.
they have all their bonus points paid up though.
Okay.
So it's
just straight up points than today.
Yeah, Cameron to take the championship if he takes the win and Elvis does not finish in second.
So he needs a little bit of help. He's going to need someone else to stand in between he and Elvis on that podium.
And if Cameron takes second place, he needs Elvis to be in fourth place. Yeah, that would to tie the championship.
He's going to need some help.
Yeah, some help's going to be there, but it's currently leaning towards Elvis's favor. But Daytona, you can never put in a Daytona race that's going to be normal.
Elvis had his struggles, and I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's remembering, as we saw in the recap a little bit ago, what happened there at Lime Rock, and Elvis had a lot of things not go his way, between serving a couple of penalties as well as having the off-track that he actually made a fantastic driver skill recovery from. Those things start to happen if one of those mishaps here goes on early tonight for Elvis and starts to get into his own head to not make mistakes. All it takes is it's more and more difficult to recover from, and Cameron's got good pace. So we'll see where he can qualify at. We know that Cameron, I think in practice, Elvis was quickest, Cameron was second quickest. We'll see if he can carry over some of that practice pace here into qualifying and put himself on the front row. Currently, it looks like he's third in the class in qualifying.
Indeed, they are, and Cameron does not get it onto the front row, but this might come into play with fuel. The GTEs and GT3s, they both are looking at 27 laps of fuel, but the GT3s are kind of in that gray area of 26 and 27. So if Martineau just stays behind Rankin or Payton, he could save some fuel, go an extra lap longer, and try to get the jump on Elvis in that way.
Cameron right now is, I think he's on his third lap. He should get up to 4 if he can squeeze one in. He did get out to a bit of a late start here in qualifying. So I don't know if he's got enough time to get his 4th win. It's going to be close.
He's got 4 minutes to go on average lap for these guys, 1 minute 44. So I believe he could. He could. He did take a very late start to it, but he is making some improvements.
But it looks
like he's making some improvements, but I feel like he's just collecting some data and trying to see where he could go at. This lap hasn't been the best for him. Yellows all the way around.
This where the pressure has to build a little bit too, because if you put all your eggs in that last lap, you know you can't have that 1X exiting the chicane on that back straight. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, go run a couple laps on one of these cars here at Daytona. You'll see what I mean, because it's enticing to want to get a great exit out of that chicane. And you'll cut that corner just a little harder on that exit and cut it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and all of a sudden you'll get the 1X. And the next time you go, okay, in the race you'll cut that 1X, and suddenly it turns into a slowdown penalty. Because it looks like you can cut it hard, and suddenly you realize you've gone too far. In your lap, in qualifying, that lap's thrown away.
Yeah, you definitely do not want that at all. As Cameron coming through the horseshoes right now.
Tell you who's got pace here, though, in these cars is David Payton right now. Just 11 thousandths off Elvis Rankin's time.
Yeah, we haven't talked about David at all right now, but he could be a dark horse in this situation. Maybe a Payton and Elvis's side, and he's looking like the best chance that Cameron Martineau has as somebody to separate him and Elvis and be that peg in second place if he takes the win in this race for the championship.
And that's the kind of person that, of course, Cameron's going to need, but Cameron's got to be on the other side of these triplets. But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess if he's going to start in the second row, it may as well be with David there with them as that top three, and hope that as the race develops, he can somehow leapfrog them and end up in the front. But do not count out David Payton to say, forget you guys, I'm just going to go win this thing on my own, championship or not, and see what he can do to just put his own cherry on top of his sundae here in the last race of the week, of the year.
It is, but once again, Cameron not getting a good run out of the bus stop chicane.
It's tough. It's tough because it's all decided on the entry to that chicane. The way you drive that is if you want to drive in deep and get a nice late on the brakes, but you got to get the car to rotate from the drive in on the left to get in the car to start making that right turn early. And if you're just 2 inches late on getting that weight transfer from a left to a right, the car will push out 2 feet to your driver's left, and you'll completely miss the exit, and that'll carry all the way around the last part of the oval. It's just amazing how much that changes the car. If you can get the turn in from the left turn in to transferring the weight to the right, it's worth so much time because the distance from there all the way to start finish is just so long. It feels so good when you get it right.
It certainly does feel good. You know when you get it right too. It feels like you get shot out of a cannon.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's what Cameron's looking forward to in this race. See him chatting with Elvis right now. But it's going to be very, very intense of a start with Cameron starting in the second row. Now, he's going to be directly behind Elvis Rankin as he goes into the start zone. The start zone is at the start of the grandstand to the start of the tri-oval grass. So they have to go in that little area. And with Cameron Martineau starting behind Elvis Rankin, he's going to be able to get a great launch and try to send something around the outside. And
now go ahead.
This opening lap is going to be very crucial as qualifying's over. Let's bring you on to the grid. Starting up on pole, Mike Dam and Dennis Savertech, our GTE champion. Behind them is Robert Hartley, Jennifer McDonald, Arthur Chan, Travis Schwenke, George Feike, and Orion Collins at the end of the GTE grid. And here is our GT3 field. Elvis Rankin starts up on pole, followed by David Payton, Cameron Martineau, Tony Kernan, Jeff Jacobs, Derek Holland, Tyler Gilmet, Bobby Childs, Chris Thorman, Kevin Ford, Steve Daniel, Lusky Delio, Russ Ruddick, and Scott Brooks at the end of the GT3 grid. It's a short pace lap, so we're going to be heading straight towards the action.
Yeah, we had not talked much about that. That's a real pole sitter for the whole race there, Mike Dam, but really putting between he and Dennis Savertech put a pretty good hurting on the rest of the field. Hartley and McDonald in the second row, a pretty good drop back, about a half a second behind that front row. So I'm looking for an interesting race here between Dam and, of course, championship winner already, Dennis Savertech. Should be a pretty good battle between those first two. But if they slip up at all, Jennifer McDonald, Arthur Chan, Travis Wenke, Robert Hartley should put on a pretty good battle behind them for that GTE race.
Indeed, that battle up front is going to be absolutely key if everything goes on. And, well, anything could happen here at Daytona. traffic could be an issue a little bit, but with this track being very wide, we shouldn't be seeing a lot of cars hold up. It's only if in between the horseshoes heading around that kink is the only way that I see traffic holding up some of these guys.
It's a big track. The worst place to catch someone is really if you're catching them going into the chicane on the back straight. You can't make the pass before you get there. You wait until you go through the chicane and then have to catch them coming out. You'd almost rather get them before then or get a draft in them coming out. But if you actually catch them right in the middle of that chicane, it's kind of one of the worst spots. But really, I don't expect much because we've only got about 24 cars tonight. Should not be too much of an issue with traffic tonight. Certainly not like the last time we were at Lime Rock, huh?
It is definitely not the last time at Lime Rock as we get rolling right now. And the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics is about to get underway for one final time underneath the lights here in beautiful Daytona, Florida. See our GT3s and GTEs and our drivers at the bottom. The GTE class coming to the stands right now. The pace car, the lights are out, it's pulling in. Our GTEs are going to get this finale very soon underway. This pace car, there he goes, and there we go. Green flag in the air for our GTEs.
Yeah, great jump there for Mike Dam. It looks like Hartley also got a great jump following down to the inside to take that spot away from Zavertech. So Hartley now up to second.
Travis Schwenke, Jeff from Madon going to go side by side down into turn one and continue going side by side as they enter the first of the horseshoes. Great break and almost collision right
Zavertech?
there.
It is.
It's Dennis Zavertech's in the wall as our GT3s get underway. And Elvis Rankin left him.
Wow, what an early jump he did, but he's not going to get away too far.
Cameron did exactly what he needed to do, and he qualified exactly where he needed to be. And he's followed Elvis off the line, and now the championship fight is between those two. And let's start the 75 minutes here in Daytona.
Well, Tony Kernan jumped past Peyton for that third spot, so Peyton's now dropped back a little bit. And Cameron knows he needs someone else to be up there with him to push Elvis back a little bit, but right now he's got to just stay with Elvis for a while and see if Elvis can make mistakes, to see how this 75-minute race plays out, just turn lap after lap after lap.
He can't really rely on other people. He needs to drive his own race and try to force Elvis into a mistake. Cameron, all he needs to do, win the race. Elvis, all he needs to do, just finish one spot behind Cameron.
Yep, or win the race.
Or win the race.
And if you're Elvis,
if you're playing the pro strategy, just finish behind him.
But you're Elvis. You want to win the race.
Yeah, this is Elvis.
Hey, if you no longer go for a win, you're not a reason. Something like that.
See, I was more of a Prost in my karting days.
A young man like Elvis, I'm sure he's not thinking, I'll just finish second or third. I'm sure he's thinking going for the win.
And that's what we like him for.
Yep.
McDonald sitting in third. She had a great start. Travis Schwenke up 2 spots. And everybody very nicely at the start. Dennis Zavertech, though, not good at all after ending up in the wall. Elvis Rankin, they finished off their first lap, and they've already pulled out a gap to Kernan and Peyton.
Wow.
As they're going side by side to our GTE field.
That's not going to help them try and keep up with the 2 leaders there when you start going side by side to the infield like that.
Yeah, that's something you definitely do not want to see in your rearview mirror. Well, it's something if you do want to see if you're trying to pull out a gap, but if you want there to be a little bit of challenge for the guy behind you and the guy in the lead, you don't want a gap forming up.
Yeah, well, they'll get in line here, maybe use a little bit of the draft going to the back straight. We'll see if they're going to make passing, got to make it clean. As soon as they start battling going into that chicane side by side, one, you slow down, and two, you start using up your tires a little bit more. So when you get an hour and 10 minutes into this race, car is going to be a little bit more slippery when you're trying to make those last couple laps than if you were to be able to save some.
Indeed, and as we're looking at that beauty of a Mercedes being driven by Derek Holland, we're going to start seeing the power difference between a few of these cars. That Mercedes and that Ferrari, two of the fastest GT3s on the field, but I do believe that the Ferrari has a little bit more of an advantage as Derek gets a great run to that bus stop.
Oh, fantastic run coming out of there. But then he had to step out of it almost a little bit because he was so far up the back of that Ferrari. But now he's in that draft. There's nowhere to go. See if he waits till he gets down the front straight to pop out before he goes under brakes into one.
Might head out into the trial on the outside, get a better run. Vazir out on front between Rankin and Martineau, championship contenders. Rankin holding down that inside line, doing everything he needs to do to stay ahead of his rival.
And Cameron's doing what he can do also, which is to pressure that rival. Pressure Rankin, maybe force the young man to make a mistake. It's going to be a long race, but the longer you keep pressuring, the more likely maybe you can get Elvis to do something, put a tire off somewhere. Places like this on the infield, these are places where you can make mistakes. This little dog leg here between the horseshoes, sometimes you put a little tire off, a little bit in the grass, this awkward turn in here at the west horseshoe, sometimes it's all it takes. A little bit of a mistake, it could cost you 10 seconds to put your car around in a circle, and that's what Cameron's hoping for.
Show your nose heading into a turn. Try to force some panic and force some mirror driving on the car in front of you. And well, if you start getting the mirror driving, they're going to start missing some turning spots and some braking zones.
But you want him to start. You want him to remind the guy that you're back there. You're not necessarily going to try and make moves. Now this is for moves. This is not to remind him that he's back there. What these guys are doing right now.
This is great defense by Tyler. Pulling down that inside line, heading into the bus stop. Very well disciplined move by Derek, not to send it around the outside, to send it into there. We've all heard the horror stories in the open official sessions of lap one heading into the bus stop. And I'm going to be honest, I was one of them.
Yeah, you think? We've all been there. We've been on both sides of it, but you're right. Derek right there, definitely some good discipline to stay in behind, knowing that this is a long race. He'll have lots of chances.
I think the more horror stories are the GTEs, and Elvis has fallen behind Cameron as Cameron takes the lead of the race.
Yep. Again, probably along that back straight, either before or after the chicane, but this could happen quite a bit. We'll see what kind of pace these guys continue to put down. They are pulling away, as you can see the timing there between them and the Kernan Jacobs, Gillimet behind them, and now 4 and 5 seconds back, and Peyton, they're several seconds back. These two could swap and just continue to pull away, which is kind of what Elvis wants. He doesn't care, really, at the end of the day, which one of these two wins. He just wants to make sure there's no one else around them.
I think they're both going to be fighting for the championship. And that final race, we were joking that whoever just wins the final race wins the championship. I wish that was the case, but sadly enough, this is not NASCAR. The entire season matters.
It does. And Elvis has definitely he's got this 4-point advantage because of performance throughout the whole season. So he comes in with that little bit of an edge. And right now he's going to play the patient game. This is the smart move.
Woof. Big sentence there. You can see that Elvis is very active on the wheel right there on that turn in. As Derek Holland's had an incident, Derek Holland is off the track and out of this race. Holland heading into the bus stop chicane. Oh no, I can only think bad things of what just happened there. We'll get that replay for y'all very soon.
Oh, he was right in the middle of that great battle.
Rankin down low, Martineau up high, heading into turn 1. Rankin sends it in. Comes across the grass a little bit.
173 miles an hour before he went to the brakes there in turn 1. That's cooking. No ABS. Oh, these are GT3s. These do have the ABS.
Yeah, these are GT. Yeah.
That's right. Still, though. And it's a Ferrari. It's hard to tell. So, you got them in both.
Yeah, we have one Ferrari GTE and a lot of GT3s.
We do have the Arthur Chan out there in the GTE version of the Ferrari.
Yeah, I just attempted to count the GT3 class, but it's only 2 that are not in Ferraris. Right. Outside of Jeff Jacobs and Derek Holland.
Uh-oh.
And
there
here's
he
that
goes.
replay on the right, and ooh!
Stuffed it hard into that tire barrier.
Planted into the tires. Was he attacked from behind?
Yeah, we'll see if we can get another replay on that one queued up in a minute, but that didn't look like he went in by himself. He went in certainly at an awkward angle considering that chicane is possible, but certainly went 90 degrees to the direction of travel pretty quick.
Yeah, might have had a little bit of assistance. Now these, the inside of the corners does have a little bit of a rut. If you hit that grass,
here's a good shot of it from above.
You'll get a turn as we look at Derek Holland in the back end. Just what?
Oh, he did just lose it. Yeah.
Wow.
Running a little bit of rear brake bias, or running. He actually got the Mercedes. Actually, it's my car of choice, just typically in the GT3s. Generally an understeery car for the most part. It's hard to get that car to oversteer, as we've got a great battle continuing. These guys just nose to tail here in the GT3s up front. But that Mercedes generally understeers quite a bit. Hard to get that tail end to come around. So I'm wondering if he's, to compensate for that, he's using a lot of rear brake bias, and that cost him a little bit coming into that high-speed braking, coming into that chicane, and a little bit of braking, got the car a little loose, and the back end kind of got light on him.
It's very odd to see that happen as Elvis leads out Cameron. Yeah, that Mercedes, very hard to turn with that big beefy engine out in the front of the car. These Ferraris got that mid-engine vibe going on. Mid-engine is definitely the way to go. I've been converted after Corvette went there, which I'm very excited for next season's debut of the Corvette in the GT Challenge.
Well, looking at the Ricmotech series next season.
Yes.
The Ricmotech World Challenge 2021, which will kick off January 18th of 2021, which will include, in fact, that C8R Corvette in the GTE class. So, yes, it's going to happen. It'll be alongside the BMW M8 and the Porsche 911 RSR, of course, in the GTE class. So that will be, they'll be debuting. See that in a couple of weeks. In 2018, so 2020. What year are we in? 2021, January 18th. See, 2020 is getting to me.
2020 has gotten to us all, but I must say,
this battle. Back to this battle. This battle is not letting up one bit. These guys, you just can't put a piece of paper between them. I don't think they've been more than about 2 car lengths apart yet. And this is a great battle, too. These five right now, I mean, it's almost looking like maybe Peyton's got himself a little bit of a gap, about a second and a half, but then you got Cronon, Jacobs, Gillimet, and Foreman, all just about a second or so covering them. Yeah.
Look at Tyler around the outside of Jeff Jacobs. Jacobs held that inside line, trying to stay ahead. He did stay ahead, but Tyler... He's got the pace around the outside, and he gets to the right of Jeff Jacobs, and Jacobs is into the wall.
Bounces quickly off of it, but they were jostling pretty hard for that position.
Drivers have been in an incident, so it's just a Ferrari field now. Welcome to Ferrari World Challenge. Now, Jacobs is moving, but he's down the field.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of separation.
Oh, and our Ford.
And, George he's lost the nose.
He's lost the nose, the rear wing. That was coming into 1. Now we've already hit
somebody, but I'm not sure what he hit. Did he hit the interior pit wall?
He might have, yeah. He's trying to cut that apex coming into 1 off the oval, and he can hook you. We also got notice there that incident already is under review there between Jeff Jacobs.
Not much to review here, as it's a very cut and dry incident.
And Tyler Gillimet, yeah. Unfortunately for Tyler, that's very likely to speculate. They're going to result in some sort of a penalty, very likely a drive-through for him. Jacobs actually quite lucky to be able to bounce and keep going.
Yeah, not even get buried in there as George is towed into the pit lane as that assumes to be the end of his race. I really want to see what's happened to George. We're going to get that replay to y'all very soon. Just happens that everything always happens right after something else.
Happen in bunches.
Because
but
that's
this battle, no matter when we go to it, is just looks exactly like this. This could have been turn 1, lap 1, or this could be lap 8. It's just a matter of which of these cars is in the lead is the only thing that seems to change. Right now, it's Rankin over Martineau, but it's been the other way around at times. Pretty amazing to watch these two. We're gonna get a replay of the Ford.
It was the pit wall. But it was actually before the pit wall even started. This was the interior track. The pit wall and Daytona, there in the road course, there is a separate pit wall that separates the pit exit from the actual track, so guys don't try to cut it. But on the entry of that turn, they don't have that wall, and it looks like George just locked up the brakes and hit that very interior wall right there.
Yeah, you start to lose that if you come off with that banking. It's a bit of a bump and dip there, and with that mid-engine car under braking, sometimes it can do some crazy things.
Right on board, Cameron Martin right behind Elvis Rankin, looking up at that rear end of the car to get a good shot of that URL at www.elvisracing.com. Pretty sure that's his website.
ElvisRankin.com. Yeah. What's interesting is I wonder, in his draft at a track like this, if you're Cameron, just sit back there and decide.
Oh yes, fuel saving.
Pressure and save fuel.
Right? I feel, yeah, that's the idea. That's what I would do in this situation. Try to pressure him if we are still together at the end of the race, then go for the move.
Sure. Save fuel. Maybe do a slightly shorter fuel stop. See what happens. And again, if you end up behind him again, just start pressuring him. And maybe if you see an opportunity to, if you're coming up on traffic, now you control your own, because you can pit early if you want, or you can stay out later because maybe you've saved another lap or two of fuel.
Try to force a mistake as long as you avoid a bump and run.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. It opens up strategy for you if you can save a little bit of fuel, even if it's just 1 or 2 laps.
Indeed, and that's all he needs to do, save a bit of fuel. GT3s are looking for 26 to 27 laps. They're in that gray area. And if Cameron does what he needs to do, he can definitely get that down there.
So there's, we're hearing now that there's the penalty. Yep, and which is this battle we're seeing on screen is about to no longer be a battle, as Chris Thorman and Tyler Gilliatt have been battling, but that's going to go away here in a second, as Tyler's going to come serve his penalty in the next lap or so.
And here's Travis Schwenke holding off Arthur Chan in that Ferrari GTE, not the GT3. Even though they are the same car, just a different engine. And a bit better brakes.
That BMW, though.
Oh, yeah.
So good. So big. It's such a big car when you see it lined up against the Ferrari or some of the other ones. It's just so big.
All I know that car from when I first saw it at 24 Hours of Le Mans was just Twitter exploding just about the size of it.
It really is. But it cooks around here pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's a great car. And Elvis has pulled out a half a second lead on Cameron through the opening parts of the track. What's happened to Cameron?
He's still deep in the draft. He'll be fine. He may have just missed an apex on the infield there, but you can see by look at that gap come down half a second. It'll be back down to 4/10 by the time they go to the brakes.
That was odd. Yeah, he's still sitting 6/10 back there, and well, he definitely needs to stay in that draft right now and just capitalize on it. Yeah. The draft is going to be holding him in there for a while. We all know that Ellis has some serious speed, so I'm not surprised that he could pull out a gap like that, but to get out of the draft, that's a completely different story. And just look at the closing speed that Cameron has.
The draft is amazing. Yeah, you see already he's back down about 2 tenths, less than. So he's fine. Again, all it takes is for one little spot on the infield where you miss an apex or you slip a little bit. But with that draft, as long as you can stay within 1 second by the time you get back on the oval, you're fine.
You don't need DRS in sports car racing. You just need the Daytona oval.
That's all you need. Daytona, Le Mans, even Sebring's got a pretty good straight. These endurance tracks are built for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Even though I would love to see F1 come here.
Oh gosh.
I'm an agent of chaos, I must say.
That would be pretty chaotic, for sure.
A lot safer bearings, though.
Let's not even go there, but yes. Yeah, we'll stick to sports cars here for now. It was a great sight when I know the SCCA ran their runoffs here about 4, 5, 6 years ago. It's an amazing sight. Even did the Spec Miatas under the lights. But they did run their Formula cars there, but certainly the speeds were nowhere near what a Formula One would be running around here.
Oh yeah, though when Ferrari did come here, they did run a demonstration run around here.
Sure.
And that was beautiful to hear those V10s go around.
Yeah. Oh, the old V10s would scream. They were so amazing.
Or the V8s.
They were
louds. They were loud.
Yeah, the first year that Formula One was at Indy, 99 or 2000, and went down there in the first practice. That was when they were still the screaming high rev V10s, and hearing them come around, turn 13 or the backwards to the Indy oval, turn 1, just screaming at 18,000 RPM. It's just it's an amazing sound. You don't want to leave your earplugs out for too long, but just once you got to take an earplug out and hear it, just to hear it completely unfiltered. And then you put the earplugs back in for the rest of the weekend and still go home with your ears pounding away. But it's just an amazing sound. Not quite like I've heard what people tell me that the old Ferrari V12s sounded like back in the early 90s, but the V10s were pretty amazing. But back to this battle, which has gone nowhere. Like I said, this could have been lap 8, lap 1, now it's lap 13, and still it's Martineau now leading Rankin by half a second. And behind them, though, still, they're kind of stacking up. You got Peyton hasn't really gone too far back. Kernan, Foreman, Ford are still hanging back there a little bit. The real battles, everybody's kind of spread out a little bit. Probably the only battle on the track, I think, is probably happening back there with Brooks and Ruddock. They're kind of nose to tail, as we've got our director right there on top of it.
It's actually the 99 BMW separating them. And this is what GTE starts looking like when it starts cutting through the GT3 field. And, Brooks held out just a little bit right there. Had to take the wider line, heading out onto the banking. There's Travis Schwenke and company just starts closing in on him. Welcome to Daytona.
Yep. Well, yeah, we didn't say it wouldn't be any traffic at all, but it's certainly not a heavy traffic with just 24 cars lined up tonight.
Yeah, but the BMW, I was thinking would account for at least 2 cars. It's definitely the size of the NASCAR right now. Only the highest quality BMW sized memes. Back up to our championship battle between these two. Martineau, Rankin, Cameron now in the lead.
Just look at the pace that they're running. Still running in the mid 45s. They qualified at, what was it, the low 44s, low to mid 44s. They're only a second off their qualifying pace, and here we are 14 laps in.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, they're rolling along pretty good. Behind them, though, I mean, like, Kernan just did a 45.5. Thorman's still in the 45s. Tyler Gillimet, after serving his penalty, he comes out and does a 45.7. So there's still some pretty good pace happening out on the track. But these two, nose to tail, they're just having to push and push and push. Keep this pace up. Pretty intense.
Yeah, and the pace is so narrow. Only 4-second gap between GTEs and GT3s. Now, when you hear that, 4 seconds, that's a massive gap. It's true, it is a big gap. But compared to some of the other tracks that we've seen, in top speed-wise, that is a narrow gap.
Yeah.
Though in the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series, they do run their own BOP so that the GTEs are 5% more power than the GT3s. GT3s have a power disputed. Power penalty that's applied to them. There we go.
I was gonna let you fumble for that one for a while.
Dig it.
Yeah, so they do that, and it works out really well. As you can see, the balance is pretty equal. I think the choice here tends to be, at least within the class, then a lot of Ferraris, of course, here in the GT3s. But certainly, I don't think that the Mercedes was an underdog by any means. But you look at the GTEs, and yeah, you got a lot of BMWs, but the Porsche certainly right on pace there with the leader right now with Mike Dam up on 2 seconds on the field in the Porsche. And if you look at the way that the Porsche typically runs in the public series or other places, often the Porsche is not considered necessarily in a straight line the fastest of these cars. In fact, the Porsche is usually the slowest in the straight line of these GTE cars.
Very fuel thirsty as well, that Porsche.
Yeah. Great brakes. Fantastic brakes in that car.
Fantastic brakes.
Yeah, my leagues that I run in, we typically, knowing that it's not necessarily the fastest in a straight line, we put our fastest driver in that car and say that you have to run it. And the only advantage he ever has is on the brakes, and he'll tell everyone, don't brake where I do, because if you're driving the Ferrari or the BMW behind him, they'll say, don't brake when I do. You have to brake earlier than me because I'm going to brake later if you're driving the Porsche.
The one downside of the Porsche is the brakes. Well, is good brakes, and everything else is a downside.
Yeah.
The car that has everything else is the upside, I'm highly biased, is the Corvette.
I have not driven the Corvette in this game yet. I don't know how to put it nicely. Like, I don't mind Corvettes. I've been a Corvette fan since I was a kid, but Corvette has not sold me on the looks of the C8 yet. So,
Okay. If Peter was here, him and I will lock you into a closet and finish this podcast on the road, or we're going to meet you in the back alley and beat you up.
I'm a big fan of a C6, so
I can agree that.
Yes. But anyway, we won't go there because there's no Corvette in this race. We have Ferraris, we have Porsches, we have BMWs. We had a Ford. We've got Mercedes. We do not have any Corvettes tonight. Corvettes will be January 18th, 2021. You got about 5 or 6 weeks to wait until you get your Corvettes in the Ricmotech series. Then you can go all Corvette fanboy on me. For now, you got to enjoy the prancing horse. And these two battling it away as they are going to continue to do for probably the next 65 minutes. Did I do that math right? I didn't.
No, you did not.
45 minutes. The math lets me down.
That was so bad.
45 minutes, man.
I get hung up on words and stuff. You get hung up on math.
Taking my way in my engineering degree, it's gone. Even worse, I'm a bad program manager. Like program managers, you got to know this stuff. Top of your head, do this quick math. I can't do it. What I can tell you is I can read on the screen. It's like Cameron Martineau is in the lead, but Elvis Rankin is right behind him. And that was easy because they've been doing this now for 16 laps.
Yeah, that's a given right now. They're 6 seconds ahead of David Payton, who's all by himself now in second place. Cameron getting it onto the brakes earlier than Elvis, and taking that wider line. Elvis getting a little bit out wide, and just trying to stay with Cameron.
What's interesting, though, is looking over the GTEs, is we know that Mike Dam's been leading this one pretty much since green flag. Robert Hartley had that great jump on the green flag to jump up into that second spot, and he hasn't really gone anywhere. He's, in fact, 1.8 seconds, about as close, 1.7. He's about as close as he's been the whole race. We saw the incident there with Dennis Savertek there on the opening corner there. He's stuck there at about that 13-second gap. If he can continue to chip away, possible he could make him, at least end up on the podium here. That's certainly not out of range. Jennifer McDonald's done a great job to hang out right now and hold on to that third spot with Arthur Chan nestled right in that mix. But Dennis is looking at Arthur thinking that's the next victim. and you can see him up ahead on the track. As you can see, Dennis right now just moving that big bad BMW all around to try and get everything he can out of that car. Now opening up the power of the BMW on that banking to see if he can catch up to Arthur out there just a couple seconds ahead. But it's interesting. They're all spaced out a little bit, but there's kind of little storylines there with Savertech, the one that had the issue, but he's not out of this. Hartley is just trying to maintain pace with Dam. Dam is trying to run away, but he just can't do it because those folks behind him are just pretty quick.
And we do have a little bit of an insight. Speaking of stories from Jordy Fike after turn one, quotes, "I have no idea what happened. It just decided to go left."
Oof. Car had a mind of its own.
I'm going to be honest, I know where you feel. I know where you feel. Because that is my excuse every time I just, especially at this track. That's why I don't drive this track in a GTE car. Because it always does that. Not in a Corvette, though, because I can't get the thing to lock up the brakes. I'll stop talking about the Corvette.
Yeah, you gotta stop. The other battle that's still happening is that Brooks and Ruddock battle is still going on. You look at, they're just a couple tenths apart still between these two Ferrari drivers in the GT3 ranks. Even though they had that GTE car come through them and get on by, they've managed to stick together. This has turned into quite a little battle. As Russ and Scott are just sticking together. Running at a decent pace too. They've been running in the still running in the 46s consistently. I mean, I'm looking at their best lap of the race at 46.5, 46.4, and the last lap 46.9, 46.8. So still putting in quality laps here. 18 laps, 30 minutes into this race. We not quite yet to pit window, but we're getting close. As Orion Collins goes by in that GTE car.
Yep. See if Ruddock can get some draft off of that GTE Porsche.
So anything he doesn't, looking at his sim rig there on his anything he doesn't have. Right, he's got of course, the gated shifter, the nice Momo steering wheel, wearing his gloves in the sim rig. He's got VR with triples.
Yeah, it's equipped for both. My setup is exactly the same, though. My setup is more keyboard and production base. He's got all the button boxes that you need that you can get from the Ricmotech Racing Simulator website.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's got the full cockpit with all the buttons. And I do know this, if you're using VR, you need him to have exactly buttons because you can't find keys on a keyboard, right? You got to have buttons that are easy to reach because you can't see anything because all you can see is everything that's in your VR goggles.
I'm very choosy on which series I race in VR. Currently, it's just IndyCar.
Okay.
Because I only need just about a few buttons that I need to do on there. And I know exactly where all my buttons would be. That and Skippy. But really, I don't race in races in VR. I don't trust myself in them.
Well, it's interesting now. So our leaders in GT3, Cameron and Elvis, have caught, let's see who that is, in that, or just got passed by that BMW. Didn't catch which one that was, but so a little bit of the mixing of the classes there didn't manage to separate these two at all. So they managed to stick together. Just couldn't quite tell if that was Ryan Collins getting through there, if that was Hartley or Jennifer. It was one of the BMWs in the GTE class that made their way through. But smart driving by both of these two as they managed to stick together very, very well.
That would have been Hartley.
Okay.
As that's Jennifer McDonald right behind him.
That makes sense then, yes.
And you can also know which driver it was if it's the mini-map in our top right.
I'm looking at the Skittle map right now, and I can see, yes.
It's a holiday Skittle map. Only the reds, white, and blues are there. Well, the patriotic seal map. We just got omitted all the greens. Now, if you're looking at the class map, we wouldn't be looking at a very festive map. As here goes Jennifer McDonald on top of Elvis Rankin around the outside.
There you can see the speed difference there of the GTEs versus the GT3s on the
size
bank parts. And the size difference, the BMW versus the Ferrari, for sure.
Kind of want to park a Skippy right next to a BMW just for even more comedic effect.
Well, you know, a lot of folks set up their own leagues where you can do any cars of any class all sort of mixed together. So feel free to throw your Skippy in there, you know, with your LMP ones and with your BMWs, and kind of watch multi-cars, multi-classes all thrown around.
Oh no, I'll do Pro 4 trucks and Skippies just to see if you can jump one.
I'm just wondering if the folks from iRacing are listening, because, you know, next week is week 13, so stranger things have happened.
Yo, Alex! Do that favor for me.
Tube frame twisters, here we come. All right, so again, these two, you can't really get anything between them. They are just stuck together. I am looking at Sabertech now. If you go back to our battle of GTEs, caught Arthur Chan. He's just at 1.4 behind him now. Dennis is getting that work done. He's about 0.8 a lap faster.
Closing in on Arthur Chan as they head into the International Horseshoe. You're here watching the Ricmotech GT Challenge presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. It's the finale, and we'll be right back for pit stops and the rest of this race. Stay tuned. Welcome back here for the battle in Daytona. Sabertech.
We'll keep our eye on this battle for a moment. Let's see how quickly Dennis can make this pass, because I'm sure Arthur's not going to make it easy on him. If you look at that leaderboard there, you'll see Hartley has dropped a bit back, because as we noticed there during the break, Mike Dam has been putting in qualifying laps out at the front to really make it hard for Robert Hartley to stick with him. That gap, remember a little bit ago we were talking about how it was hovering around 2 seconds, now over 5. But Sabertech needs to get by Arthur Chan if he wants to have a shot at a podium here. Although he's got the championship clinched, he'd like to go home with a podium here on the last race of the season, I'm sure.
He can do whatever he wants. He can finish this race backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to end out the season on a high.
Of course. You want to win every race, but consider how the first lap wins. At least at this point, he probably would like to salvage a podium if he can. But he's got to get past Arthur here, and then he's got to put his sights on Jennifer McDonald, who's another 5 seconds up the road.
There goes Dennis down low, and Dennis into the braking zone. Dennis Sabertech takes fourth.
You see that lap time of 40.6. That is just about a tenth slower than the fastest lap he's done the entire race. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Mike Dam, who's at a 40.4. He just did that about 2 laps ago. So these cars still have a lot of pace. Yep, these cars still got a lot of pace in them. You think they're 23 laps into this, and they're still putting down fastest laps of the race. That's pretty impressive. Maybe a little bit of help with some draft, but still plenty of grip still left in these endurance car tires.
Yeah, tires are all gripped up and ready to go, and Cameron Martineau has fallen down to 7th. Martineau went into the pits early. He went into the pits on lap 20. right as we headed into the breaks, Cameron Martineau went into the pits.
Yeah, I'm wondering if his strategy was to then get away from Elvis and separate and make Elvis think about it. It's a very bold strategy there, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
Especially here on ESPN 8, The Old Show.
Yeah. Well, what it leaves is Elvis now has to think about his own pace. I mean, obviously he knows what his pace can be, but he doesn't have that gauge to know exactly where he's at. It puts potential traffic in different places, because when you're running with Elvis, you know exactly what traffic he's under and what traffic you're under. Now, who's under whose traffic, it's completely random. If you're Elvis, you don't know where Cameron's traffic is. If you're Cameron, you don't know where Elvis's traffic is.
Yeah, you gotta... Well, I can tell you they would know where the traffic is, especially if they're using the SDK driver app, because you can see the map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the key right now is every lap. We had seen this in past races of the other Ricmotech series. We saw this even at Lime Rock for the last race. If you have to run multiple laps in a row where you're stuck behind somebody, or if you're the GT3 car giving up some time to a GTE car, that's where you lose a lot of time. If you're Cameron and you can get by with a couple laps and not have to give that up, it's great for you. I'm watching his gap now, so let's just make a note of this. 42.1 behind Elvis. Keep a note of that. Lap 24. See what it is when Elvis goes to make his stop here in the next, let's say, 10-15 minutes.
About 48.9 seconds complete total pit lap time. The box time at 25 seconds. Martineau 1:45.5 last time by. Elvis's last lap 1:45.04. So Cameron going a bit slower than Elvis.
Okay, yeah, and that's the risk you run. Is by if you don't stick with him, you can't tell if you're running that pace, and you can't use his draft to pull you through his pace as well. And he may have been benefiting from some of that by sticking in Elvis's draft.
Yeah, that draft was helping him, but that draft was also hurting him with the tire wear.
Yeah. Now I'm just wondering how long does Elvis stay out there?
Well, he could go to lap 27, barely. I believe he's going to go in on lap 26, so next time by, and it should be everybody into the pits this time by, as the GTEs, the GTEs should be heading in on lap 26. The GT3s should be heading in on their lap 26 to 27, but since they've been lapped, we should be seeing it on race lap 27.
Right. Well, this will get intense then. It'll be very, very close. As Rankin just did a 44.9.
It's getting faster, the car's getting lighter, and Cameron's on the heavier car. So this is a very top speed heavy track. And we're going to see the differences between the top speeds and the speeds of these cars, because Rankin doesn't have the draft. Martineau does not have the draft. And Cameron comes across the line right about now, 1:45.6. So 0.5 slower.
If he does that another 4 times, he just lost 2 seconds. So it's going to be really tough. Unless his in-lap was so good and his out-lap was so good. That's what it'll be interesting to see, is how well does Elvis do his pit stop and avoid pit lane speeding, does he avoid missing his pit box, and all those execution things. You got to make sure you nail those. This battle, though, has continued. This battle has been just as good here between Brooks and Ruddock. These guys have not let up at either in their 2 Ferraris.
Yeah, these two, Ruddock and Brooks, have been battling from start. And, well, to right now, it's not the finish yet. That's usually how the saying goes. But we're approaching the finish as we're closing in on, so 20 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, these two, the Brooks, the Canadian, Ruddock the American, the Canadian getting to run against Americans. Doesn't happen too often in 2020, so it's great to see here in the virtual world that we can do that and have international races.
International races are the best, as Anthony Kernan heads into the pits, as well as Chris Thorman.
It's going to be a busy pit lane, like you said. You know, we were expecting lap 26, and here we are. Pit lane is going to be busy.
Yeah, and you should see the entire GTE field heading into the pits right now.
You should see it in a few minutes. They're all spaced apart between 3 and 4 seconds between the top 4 or 5 of each of them. Here in the GT3s, keep our eye on our leader here as he comes out of that chicane. Does he dive into the pit lane or not? As Kernan and Thorman are done with their pits, what does Rankin, our leader, do?
Well, he's all the way over in turn 2 right now, heading down into the bus stop chicane. There goes Mike Dam into the pit lane, and Hartley stayed out. Actually, a lot of them are staying out.
Okay.
This is concerning.
They may have had a little bit more fuel than maybe the initial estimates were giving us. So, again, that's all estimates about this lap 26, 27. So, maybe they were able to do a little bit more fuel saving than we were informed of. Interesting, though, is Savertech's pace continues to be very strong. Still lapping in the low 40s. Hartley also putting in the low 40s. So Savertech probably trying to stay out there as long as he can, running on the lightest car he possibly can. Hoping that Mike Dam comes out in traffic.
Yeah, Mike Dam. This is the famous, there's the pit exit wall that...
oh, this pit exit is so difficult.
It is, and there's a very famous driver's switch in my friend circle where somebody, not any names, that doesn't arrive at night, just decided to pin the car sideways in there, call a 5-car pileup in the 24 hours of Daytona. Not my proudest achievement.
Oh, and it looks like both these guys are going to pit together. So this battle isn't even going to break up for one lap here between Brooks and Ruddock. So who's got the faster pit stop? We're going to see.
Who's paid their crew the most and who's taking them out to drinks tonight? Where are they going to see? They go to the pits together. They pit together. Ruddock a little bit later into his stall.
Let's see.
So here comes Hartley, McDonald, Savertech into the pit lane. Here's a GTE party.
This is what we were thinking, right? Maybe one lap longer than we had originally seen. This should give Mike Dam the lead back, but the question will be how much.
Here we go.
And it looks like
him.
Yes,
Ruddock
it looks
jumped
like
him.
Ruddock was able to be just a little bit quicker with his fuel ad than Brooks.
Oh, what a stop. And now they're racing off pit road. And, well, what I would call a golf cart of the track.
And our
And
leader,
here comes Elvis.
Elvis in the GT3 car. So now, where is Cameron on the track?
Bus stop.
He's coming out of or going
Into.
Going into. There I see him.
He's got a clear track ahead of him. And they're continuing to go on. Elvis just in his pit stop.
You look at that gap and it dropped to 46 seconds
Oh,
from
yeah.
Martin. Remember, it was 42.1. So there should be an extra 4-second cushion if Rankin does a really good pit stop here. Should be about
We're
4
going to see.
seconds.
Here he comes. Elvis is coming out of the pit lane right now. He's onto the golf cart.
Arthur Chan down there in the lower left shaking his head. Not happy with his stop.
Oh, yeah. The one thing I love about Arthur Chan's head cam, we can get some little driver emotion. Elvis is out of the pit lane.
Yeah.
An entire corner ahead. 5 seconds separates Elvis Rankin and Cameron Martineau.
Yep, and all that happened there as Martineau came in with an early stop, took on that fuel early, and wasn't able to maintain that pace like he had when he was drafting behind Elvis. Shows the pace that Elvis had.
Elvis' stop was 1.3 seconds faster than Cameron's.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a pretty big difference. So he either has a better fuel calculation or, got a good pit crew.
I'm gonna focus on the pit crew because we've all had those times where we would get a 10-second pit stop here. Oh, it's a 9.5-second pit stop here. So he definitely did something with the fuel to get that 1 second because that's just in box time.
Yeah. take a look at Dennis Savertech. He's done himself some goodness here as he's about 12 seconds back, but he's now within 2 seconds of Jennifer McDonald now for that third and final podium spot in the GTEs. Got to work his way through some traffic to get there. So you can see that BMW of Jennifer right there in front of him, that number 99. And then he's got another 6 seconds up the road there, though, to Robert Hartley. Hartley has done himself some pretty good in these pit exchanges. You remember, he was more like about 5 or 6 seconds when we were talking about before the pits. So he was able to make up a little bit of ground there on Mike Dam through that pit exchange.
Oh, you want to know his total pit lap time to Mike's?
Almost a 1.5 second difference.
2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, great stop there for Hartley.
Insane stop by Hartley. Mike's he's already done all the work that he needed to do on the track, but Hartley can surprise him, and I feel like Hartley's going a bit faster than Mike right now.
Well, you know, with about 25 minutes left in this race, you know, this is the time, as they say in F1, this is hammer time, right? This is where you got to really lay it down, put in those qualifying laps. If there's traffic, you got to dispose of that traffic. If you're in a GTE car and you find a GT3 in your way, one corner. You can't wait 2 corners. It's got to be gone in 1, or you're going to lose 3/4 of a second. So if you're Savertech catching Jennifer McDonald, or if you're Hartley trying to chase down Mike Dam, you don't have time to wait 2 corners. But Mike Dam putting in, you can see the time popped up there at 40.9, so Hartley's 41.2, so there's 3/10 on the Mike Dam favorable side. So Mike Dam doing what he needs to do, putting down times he wants. Savertech 40.7, his last time by, catching Jennifer McDonald, her last time 41.0, respectable, but still 3/10 going to Savertech, who's very quickly going to be in Jennifer's draft.
See the flashing of the lights and letting by from Derek Holland on just holding down that inside line, just saying, hey, I'm letting you two by. You continue your fight.
Yeah, and probably about the time they come across start finish, Dennis could be in Jennifer's draft. That's how quickly he's catching her. And he's just about
Dennis still putting in the work. And I say he's already in the draft.
He's 1.5, which is, if there's draft, it's just a hint of it. You can get to 1.2 and you can feel it pretty strong. But you can see there he's about 1.3 going into the chicane, 1.2 coming out. By the time he gets to start finish, he should be about 1 second. And then he's on the infield.
He's starting to feel it now. Oh, he just gained up a lot of speed. 1.2, 1.1, 1 second, 9/10 now. He's closing in on Jennifer McDonald like it's a rocket launch out of SpaceX.
Wait till you see his lap time for Dennis Savertech, though. 40.6. Yeah, he cooked that one pretty good. That's a good lap as he's in pursuit of Jennifer McDonald right now. But Mike Dam's last lap, 40.7. So these two guys are the 2 quickest cars on the entire track right now.
95 Ferrari of Russ Ruddick. Ooh, a bit of dice between them. Russ has had an incident. He's lost the entire front end of that Ferrari.
He has.
Do you think
we will catch a replay here?
Stop the pit wall? Might have had an issue with that.
Well, here he is. A little bit of a loop-de-loop.
No. Well, it was at the pit wall.
It's the end of the...
Started at the pit wall, but middle of turn 1. Well, to quote Jordy Fike, the car just went left.
And in that case, kind of did. It's the difficulty of braking a mid-engine car into a difficult corner, that decreasing radius, like turn 1 here at the oval. At the Roval, I should say, the Daytona Roval. Coming off of the oval, banking down to turn 1. It's just so difficult. Mid-engines, that's where it's most difficult to get the car to do what you want to do. A nice big GT car with, like the BMWs, big front engine, rear drive cars, they're really easy to brake. Mid-engine, like that Ferrari or the Ford earlier, they kind of do wandery things on the brakes. And coming off of banking and they hit that little bit of a bump like that, That's the kind of result you might find.
Yeah, they would get a little bit snaky in the brakey.
Yes, they do. So interesting is Dennis has not been able to get his way around Jennifer McDonald. He was able to catch her, but has not been able to pass.
He's caught up with McDonald, but now it's the time for, you know, the work to start.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the hard part was just catching up with McDonald. Now, the new part is getting around McDonald safely and finding out the time to do that, because he knows he's faster. It's just, you gotta pick yourself through this traffic.
She's putting on a really good race today. She's been super consistent. She's been putting on her pace the whole night, lap after lap after lap. She's not going to be an easy pass by any means. She has not put a tire wrong this whole race. She's not putting in Mike Dam pace, but she's been putting in, right now, great pace to see just with 11 seconds of Mike Dam over a 54-minute race. And really, that's been a tenth and a half a lap over the course of 32 laps has got her to this point. It's not because of she's been making mistakes. So if Cybertech wants to get by, he's going to have to just out-duel and find the perfect moment to do it, because she's not going to leave a door open.
Jennifer not leaving any doors open. The car is doing some of that work too as well, being just wide. But all BMW jokes aside, Jennifer is doing everything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes Cybertech. 3/10 now.
In fact, what maybe help is I'm checking out a little bit of her bios on our drivers. Jennifer's real-life car. She does NASA track events in a BMW out of Washington State. So perhaps a little bit of real-life racing is helping her virtual racing here, having some BMW track experience.
And there's Dennis counting up. That's right behind Kevin Ford. A little bit of an adjustment off the exit for McDonald. As Ford's right there, but now Ford's going to be up onto the inside, and that's going to hold up Cybertech.
He's trying to get out of the way.
Lurching into that corner.
Ford was trying to be the gentleman. He's trying to get out of the way. He figured, let me get through the dog leg and let's just get down to the next horseshoe, and I'll do what I can. And that's the right thing to do if you're the yielding car. It's just don't yield in the bad spot, yield in the good spots, and he did. It's tough. You know, if you're Dennis, you don't want to. You want to get past as fast as you can. You want to stay on the tail of the car you're chasing. But if you're Kevin Ford, that's what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. It's completely not up. You don't have to do it. You could completely just have your own line and try to force them. Let the other cars completely do it on their own, which is the iRacing rule book. Just don't detour off the line.
If you do not yield to a blue flag, which these would have, there are penalties at stake, and Kevin Ford knows who deals out those penalties.
Him.
Yes. So he's obviously going to be the gentleman in this case. He knows what's at stake with the battle coming up.
And there goes Dennis.
And there goes that battle right there.
And whatever that just fell off your desk.
that was my window opening all by itself. Shows you what kind of wind is blowing here in Michigan tonight. You heard that? That's awesome.
Oh yeah, right as it says, the cool
summer breezes of Michigan in early December, late November. Beautiful.
Everything you just said was wrong.
It's awesome. Yes. Snowing in the backyard. It's not. I wish I was in Daytona right now. What I see on my screen is exactly what I wish it was. Endurance racing under the lights in Daytona would just be spectacular to be living for real right now. So we're going to live it in the virtual world and watch things like people like Elvis Rankin just turn in fantastic laps and putting on a display right now, because that's what he's doing.
Yeah, 1:45.092 for Elvis Rankin.
Yeah, and I didn't see any draft on that lap. That looked like it was completely all skill.
That was perfect, because a few laps ago he set the fast lap of the race of the 1:45.048. And he almost set a new purple lap time there.
Yeah, he's just flying around the down, and just to keep doing it lap after lap. And Mike Dam's doing it the same way on the GTE side, as you can see him there. He's just also flying around this way. So these two leaders are just checking out in their respective classes and letting the battles shape up behind them. Even though in the case of Mike Dam, he's not going to win the championship in his class, but he wants to make sure he puts his stamp on this race to say that he's in contention. Maybe he'll be back for the new challenge series in starting in January. In Elvis's case, he wants to win this championship by winning this race and putting no doubt who owns this GT3 class in this championship season.
Yeah, as we're closing in on 15 minutes to go, Mike Dam, well, he's putting up a good showing right now. Absolutely dominant performance, and, well, not going to be the champion this season but he's definitely wanting to go home with that very final race trophy, and I feel like the Daytona race is going to be a little bit more prestigious than the others.
There is something special about winning at this track. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from winning at a place like Lime Rock or one of the other tracks, but winning here at Daytona is a bit special. It's just in the history of the Daytona 24 Hours, some of the races that are run here, but even in the virtual world, this place it's a very difficult track to navigate these infield horseshoes, to get the runs off of out of the infield onto the banking, to nail that chicane you're seeing him do here on that back straight. It's so difficult to navigate and do this in the virtual race here in an hour and 15 minutes is not easy. So to put your stamp on a race like this and come away with a victory, it's certainly worth something to be proud of.
It is indeed. I would say the prestigious tracks are, well, it's always going to be Sebring, Daytona, Le Mans, up there, Spa as well, but Daytona just has so many prestigious events. You got Daytona 24 Hours, Daytona 500, the Daytona Road Course, even if it has that stupid chicane in there.
Yeah,
I feel like the Daytona Road Course gets a little bit too much hate, but hopefully with the new Cup cars, they don't care about that chicane. They just wipe it off the surface of the earth, because those new next generation NASCAR Cup cars look very nice, and I really want to see them tackle more road courses.
That front straight chicane just gives more time for the fans who paid big dollars for that big grandstand to see that car a little bit longer. That's all.
Well, and not to miss turn one completely, because
Exactly.
if you thought your card's brakes were bad.
Yeah. No, but it's the way they built this infield into this oval. It's not exactly Spa or the Nürburgring. This isn't Silverstone. This is your classic natural landscape track, across the hills. This is an oval, and they said, let's put something on the infield. But the way this place lays out, this is super difficult. It has been proven through endurance racing. This place is hard on the equipment. It's hard on the drivers because of the speeds you achieve. It's difficult because of the challenging nature of those the back-to-back horseshoe hairpins on that infield, and the challenge of trying to come off of that banking and down onto that chicane and back out. It's a very difficult track. So to win a race here of any length, whether it's an hour and 15 minutes or whether it's 6 hours or 24, it's not easy.
It certainly is a sight to behold, and Elvis Rankin and Mike have definitely done everything right here today.
What a shot.
Thanks for the photo up, boys.
That's a Ryan Collins, but still, looks good.
Oh, yeah.
It looks good, though, doesn't it?
Looks great.
Yeah. But, yeah, they've definitely been putting on a show, these two. Just been flying around this place. Don't want to see if I think Hartley is moving just fast enough that Sabertech, no matter how hard he tries, is not going to be able to catch that second spot away from Robert Hartley. Hartley's going to have to probably make a mistake because, 2.5 seconds is a lot to gain here in the next 12 minutes or so. Not saying it's impossible, but Sabertech's got good pace, but right now he's only going about a second a lap faster. Might be able to. Not second lap, but he did actually turn him with a second lap on the last time by, but he's typically only been turning about a half a second a lap faster. We'll see if he can get a little bit closer to Hartley and have a shot at second place in this finale of this season. But really, I've been impressed with Jennifer McDonald. She qualified well. Been really, like I said earlier, nearly flawless. Just consistent laps the entire race.
Yeah, 149 for Jennifer. Her fastest lap of the race, 148. So this is 10th off of it, and I don't think I've ever seen Jennifer go under, like, below a 141.2.
Yeah, it's been so consistent this whole race, and you can see the margin that she's put herself ahead of Arthur Chan, Travis Schwenke, and you know, she's just stuck right with this. It's impressive. She's been very, very consistent tonight. So a very good drive for her. But we'll get to see if she ends up in 4th or if things still have to shake up. Mike Dam, of course, pulling away at this point. We thought early on maybe Sabertech and Hartley could give him a run for his money, but Mike Dam right now is in a league of his own.
Yeah, Mike Dam, well, Mike Dam's doing Mike Dam things.
He is. And there's Mike Dam in that portion.
Give him a few more seconds. He'll catch up to Elvis. They are teammates.
Yeah.
So that is the photo.
Yeah, they have done very well in their respective classes to dominate so far in this race. Still, though, about 10 minutes to bring it home for each of them in their respective classes.
Yep. 1 hour and 5 minutes has gone underway. 10 minutes remain here in Daytona underneath these beautiful lights.
We'll say that Porsche sounds really good. The Mercedes sounds great. The big V12 of the Mercedes is fantastic, but second to that would have to be the Porsche. It just sounds so sweet. It's a good sounding race in general. Well, Sabertech's now just a little more than a second behind Hartley, so they're going to make me eat my words, thinking that Hartley had a shot to hang on to this. Didn't think that Sabertech was going to have enough time to catch him for second, but doesn't look like I'm going to be able to hold true to that statement. Hartley's going to have to work pretty hard now to hold off a hard-charging Dennis Sabertech.
Yeah, Dennis, after starting in second place, very unfortunately going off in that first horseshoe, well, he's caught back up to the place that he almost lost, and well, he's back to take back what is his.
And just thinking back, he was about 13 or 14 seconds back behind Mike Dam after about 2 laps. So when he had gone deep on the International Horseshoe, tapped the wall, got going again, 13, 14 seconds back. Notice he's only about 11 seconds back now. So he's actually been the fastest car on the track, except for that incident. He's just been flying. And now he is the fastest car on the track at now a 40.1 fastest lap of the race.
Well, talking about calling it the comps box, that's what all that one's about. 140.17 for Dennis Sabertech, and now the battle for second is hot in the water here in Florida underneath the lights, but I still got to say the water is still kind of lukewarm here because it's got that beautiful southern sunshine on it, no matter what time of year. Unless it's a hurricane.
He still needs to make a pass to get himself on the second step of that podium.
Oh, no! Hartley went wide.
That pass just got a whole lot easier.
You saw that big wiggle of hesitation. He locked up the brakes. And another car that's hard to get turning is the BMW.
I wonder if Hartley might have used up a little more of his tires struggling to keep up with Mike Dam early in this race. And maybe he doesn't have as much here at the closing stages where Hartley's fast, Mike Dam is fast, and they're fast and able to save tires. And I wonder if Sabertech and Dam are fast and saving tires where Hartley is not necessarily has the speed and able to save his tires as much as the other two. So I'm wondering now if
Hartley
to stay in the draft. Yeah.
Just went over David Payton. Now Hartley is caught up to Sabatech again. So even with that mistake, as it was going on to the oval, the draft helped him stay with Sabatech. And under braking, Hartley is looking a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, this will be interesting now to see if that was something to do with just a brain fade, not, you know, now he had a little bit of pressure behind him, or if there's something the car is just kind of losing a little bit of grip in these lots and lots of turns, especially lots of lefts around this rollable configuration, and the car is just struggling with those right side tires.
The racing driver in me wants to say brain fade. No, car issue. The realist in me, if that was me in the car, it would be brain fade.
Could be. We'll see how he responds. That'll be the key here, is how well does he respond. Now, if he responds being the chaser, then brain fade goes away. If suddenly the car just doesn't have the pace and he finds himself a second or more back, then I suspect the tires are fading, and I'm already seeing 6/10 back. He's still in the draft. Let's see how he comes out of this chicane, if he's got any fight left for Sabatech.
They went into the pits at the same time, and Hartley had a longer pit stop than Sabatech, so this isn't a matter of fuel or anything. It's going to be pure out racing for second between them.
He's about a tenth or two slower just through that chicane for Hartley than Sabatech. So he's losing ground just through the chicane. I suspect his tires. He's just a little harder on his tires through the first stint of this race. And I think Sabatech was just softer on his tires. Maybe in the setup he's running, a little bit more balanced. I think that Hartley is just struggling right now to keep the car under him, and you can see the time drop.
Hartley just got nailed with a slowdown penalty, too.
Oh, through the chicane, perhaps, coming out, little cut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because on the straight, he's just lost up a straight second to Sabatech right there.
You're probably right then, yep. It does sound like a penalty, and that's, he's trying to push, he's trying to stay with him, he just can't. So now, does he fall into the clutches of Jennifer McDonald there just a couple seconds back, or is he able to gather himself and hold on to that podium spot?
Well, I hope you guys like photo opportunities, because here it comes. Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin are about to meet each other on the oval. I've been watching these two. I've been about waiting for this moment.
Probably about the time they come to start-finish here after the chicane, huh?
Yeah, I feel like if they wanted to, they get to stay in this formation and just wait until the 1:15 to pull out a Ford.
And coordinate the photo?
Yeah. Though in this situation, we all know that both of them will be winning, so it's a multi-class race and no one's getting absolutely ruled over one. But hey, we're going to see if they do it. I'm a showman. I want to see. This might be very showful. But there's a photo moment. Yeah, they ain't playing by that rule book.
Not even a flashlights or anything. These guys know that it's not over yet. Probably still about 3 more laps.
I think one of them might be listening to the broadcast, because I do know a few of the drivers, they like to listen to the broadcast. They like to have some audio going in the background. Maybe drop some insight on what's happening throughout the race.
Interesting.
If they did that, Sabatech would have had a chance for the lead.
Well, if they're listening, then I'm wondering if take a look at some of the other battles that we do have going on. Looking at perhaps a Steve Daniel and Scott Brooks battle, as they've come together here relatively close now in the closing stages with just probably less than 3 laps to go. Mr. Scott Brooks seems to find himself in battles every time we look. There he is in another battle. This time it was with Steve Daniel. Earlier it was with Russ Ruddock. This time Steve Daniel's trying to chase down Scott Brooks.
Half a second separates them. Here comes Steve.
Definitely within that draft.
As they come across the line, 1 hour and 13 minutes has ticked over right now. 2 minutes remain.
Oh no!
And Steve looks down the inside of Brooks, gets his nose in there, gets him off the exit, forcing Brooks almost into the grass. Steve Daniel, not really forcing, just pushing the issue. Steve Daniels up into 8th.
Yep, a little bit of pressure there, forcing Brooks just to run a little bit wide there in 1. And we've been talking all night about how difficult that corner is. And there's an example of it. It's hard to control, and these mid-engine Ferraris are not that easy to keep the thing pointed the right way. A little bit of over-braking one way, and suddenly the thing understeers. A little bit the other way, and it oversteers like we had seen earlier. But this fight is not over. There's probably 2 laps maybe remaining, depending on where our leader crosses start-finish. So definitely a couple more chances here for Brooks to come back at Mr. Daniel.
If they continue this pace, they have a minute remaining right now. Minute 10 seconds. Believe it is going to be white flag next time by.
Should be, considering our leaders are just, yeah, it looks like Mike Dam is just now on the first part of the oval, so probably right.
NASCAR 2.
So these guys will get, they're going to get, they're not going to get white flag, are they? Are they?
No, they aren't, no. Yeah, they're in front of them. Yeah, so they're going to have 2 more laps.
Because I don't know that Mike Dam got white flag.
No, he did not get white flag. 30 seconds, just coming into turns 3 and 4.
So Mike Dam should get white flag this time by.
Yes, he should.
Then everybody else will get white flag
next time by.
Yep.
And white flag is in the air for Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin.
He would have just waited 15 seconds. It could have been a checker. Actually, I think he has to be given the white before he gets a checker.
Yeah, you would. And
but
the iRacing is like very. It does have a little bit of leeway, so you can't really like. Oh, I'm just gonna lift off the gas here and cruise by. And I think that was the only mistake we just see from Mike Dam, that lockup heading into the horseshoe.
So while he's going to be out here trying to just put in about 11 more corners here to win this race, Elvis Rankin, he's got 1 more lap to win a championship here in GT3 over Cameron Martineau, who's sitting in 2nd. We've still got that battle playing out of Scott Brooks and Steve Daniel. Daniel's now about 2 seconds up on him. You've got Jennifer McDonald trying everything she can to catch Robert Hartley. She's gotten it within 2 seconds. I don't know if it's going to be enough. So these little battles of an hour and 14 minutes have played out on the last laps now for as everybody starts to see that white flag. We'll see if there's any changes of position on the last time through.
Last time through, closing in. Well, right now, Savertech's on the tail end of Elvis Rankin, so that photo was never going to happen, so they did the right thing right there. They're going to get the photos in a little bit right now. As coming out of NASCAR 4, Mike Dam is going to take the checkered flag here at Daytona as the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics comes to an end. Here's Dennis Savertech. What a recovery drive for him. Comes home in 2nd place as Elvis Rankin comes home in the lead and takes the championship.
Yeah, well deserved. He just drove away from it tonight. Once he got separated from Cameron Martineau, he just put his head down and just drove away for this championship. Well deserved.
Elvis Rankin, after what seemed like a nightmare case scenario in Lime Rock Park, takes the championship, takes the win, and it is a massive win for Elvis Rankin as he wins the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series.
And it was tough for him. There was a lot hanging on the line here with after the way things went at Lime Rock for him. Pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong, but tonight everything that could go right did go right, including starting out in front for the class and basically, other than swapping the lead a bunch of times with Cameron Martineau, never more than a half a second behind Cameron. Otherwise, he was in the lead start to finish. Great race for Elvis. Great race for Cameron. Just coming up short of the championship.
Elvis is out of fuel.
Elvis is out of fuel. And talk about cutting your fuel stop short, but out of fuel, going to get a little bit of help there to get back to the start line for the photo. But yeah, he's going to get a little bit of help there. But Cameron Martineau, great run for him as well, falling just shy in the championship. Should be his second in the overall points for him. But a great race, being just 5 seconds behind Elvis here at the finish stripe.
The
Not
Ryan
sure.
boys helping each other out.
Not sure what's up with the podium gaps there in GTE, but
No,
the order's correct.
Yeah, the order's correct. The timing. As much as I would have paid to see that, no. Everyone's just getting a good family vibe right now. Just everyone pulling through the chicane as they're just going to completely skip it. The season's over. The race is over. No one cares about the penalties.
Yeah. And yeah, iRacing doesn't either. Once everyone, the last cars cross the stripe, penalties no longer add up.
Yep, so you can drive backwards. I don't care.
Correct.
But Mike Dam takes the win. Elvis Rankin, there he is on the bottom, takes the win and the championship as Dennis Savertech is at the back of that shot. Well, he's already secured the championship, but I feel like he wants to join in on this fun up here as Elvis is, well, he's getting pushed. He's done all the pushing he needs to today, so he deserves a little bit of a rest.
I said Robert to back out of the shot, and then we'll be just fine once he's done being the tow vehicle.
Yeah, Robert. I think Robert's just having for Elvis.
Yeah, and everybody is.
The shot right about that.
Everyone's happy for Elvis because he's driven really well this whole season. Really been dominant at times. Other than like I said, just a rough race at Lime Rock a couple of weeks ago, but really put on a show tonight and absolutely well deserved this victory in this championship.
Everyone's parked up here. Oh, this is a massive photo op. Okay. Well, as everyone stops by, this season has come to an end. Mike Tam takes the win, Elvis Rankin takes the win, and the championship. You're here watching the Ricmotech GT Challenge Series presented by Proformer Elite Texas Graphics. We'll be back for the race results, the season finale results, and driver interviews after this break. Welcome back to the Ricmotech GT Challenge. It's celebrations here for Mike Dam as he takes the victory in the GTE class. Dennis Savertech, your GTE champion. Well, recovery drive to remember secures his place in second place at the start of his second, but lap one, just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But Dennis pulled it back to finish the second place. They're followed by Robert Hartley, Jennifer McDonald, who both of them were on fire today. Arthur Chan, Travis Schwicke, Orion Collins, George Feike at the end of the grid. And here is the GT3 class. And what can you say about this? The Wonder Kid, Elvis Rankin.
Great race for Elvis. Had that great battle early on. He and Cameron just worked together, kind of just pulling away and pulling away and pulling away. When Cameron took that early stop, Elvis said, "Okay, thanks. Your job is done now. Bye." And he just put in lap after lap. Had that great pit stop, and now we understand why, because he took the absolute minimum fuel he needed to finish the race. Comes out 5-6 seconds ahead, ends up winning by a little bit more than that, and takes his victory and the championship with it. What a great win for him! And Cameron comes home in second.
Well, I must say I don't actually think that he did run out of fuel because when we were break, he just started doing donuts on the front straight. So I feel like he was just giving us a little bit of a show. Yeah, we will definitely have to ask him. But Elvis Rickett takes the victory ahead of Cameron Martin, David Payton, Kernan, Thorman Gilmet, for Daniel Brooks, Childs, Yolio, Ruddick, all behind him, followed by Holland and Jeff Jacobs. And I believe we are standing by with our 2 race winners. Larry, I'm going to let you talk to. Well, you're going to have the first pick. Who do you want?
Let's go with Mike Dam. Let's take our overall first. Hey, Mike Dam, you're our winner, the overall for the race tonight. And I don't want to say you made it look easy, but you kind of walked away from the field tonight, putting in qualifying laps for about the first half of that race, if not the whole race. Tell me a little bit about how that went for you tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was probably one of my most consistent races I've done in a while. Dennis was definitely my biggest competitor, and he, I think, cooked it into turn 1 on the first lap. So that gave me a little breathing room, dropped my heart rate a bit, just focus and put laps, and then that's what I was able to do. So
did you find yourself checking that relative screen a little bit to see how far back Dennis was and kind of keeping an eye on him as the race progressed?
Oh, every single lap. I knew it's a long race. There's 45 laps. All it takes is a few tenths every lap, and he can make that 13-second gap back up in no time. So I had to push. I had to remember to push the whole race, but still try not to go out beyond my limits. And I managed to do that, I think, pretty well. But honestly, it would have been really, really close.
You had a pretty good push there from Robert Hartley for about the first 20 minutes or so. Was he pushing you, and you were really worried he was going to stick with you for a long time before he finally faded a little bit?
Honestly, yeah, kudos to him. Like he put in a really good first stint there. I mean, he hasn't put near the time in with these cars as of late as some of us have. So for him to run that pace and consistent through the whole race, like that's really good.
Yeah, and I got to ask, when you finally got around to lapping Elvis, just the two of you coming around the front straight on the oval, did you wish, I don't know if you've got VR, did you kind of look over at him, kind of wink at him, wave at him or something like that? The teammates kind of leading each of your classes?
Oh, yeah, we were kind of chatting. We were like, man, if only this was the last lap, would have been a really good fixture again. But what can you ask for, eh? But,
exactly.
It was a really good race by him as well. He put down a really good full clean race. He was able to jump Cameron in the pits, so that's a win-win for Ryan. That's good.
Yeah, you guys had a fantastic night and a great way to wind up the season. Congratulations on the win, and looking forward to seeing you in the next season, of course.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
That was Mike Dam, and I'm standing here with your race winner and champion, Elvis Rickett.
Hello.
Elvis, how was that race? And congratulations on the championship.
Yeah, it was a really good race. Coming in the race, the past couple weeks the past couple races, I should say, I've just been making some just silly mistakes that not really me. So tonight I just kind of tried to just do a consistent drive. I knew I had the pace. I knew I had a pace leg up on Cameron tonight, and just tried to pull a strategy. Had a couple plans coming into the race, and it kind of just played into my hands, I guess you could say.
Well, everything that needed to go your way did. You and Cameron left the field behind on that start, and then Cameron went to the pit stop earlier than you. Did a little bit of fear come into your mind when you saw that, or did you feel like that was just it certain at that point?
That I'm gonna be honest with you, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be behind him for the first half of the race so I could save fuel and, you know, just a typical Daytona race, be fuel saving and be conservative with the X's, because that bus stop is brutal, man. And yeah, I knew once he kind of pitted, kind of when he could, that was actually what I wanted, because I noticed that, you know, I was maybe a lot faster than him through the infield section and through the bus stop, but on the straights he would have that draft and he could close right back up, so I couldn't really break him. But when I got by myself and he was kind of by himself, then I could really push like how I wanted and try and get that gap that I needed. So yeah, once I had the 5-second gap with about 13 laps to go and 30 minutes left, I just consistency. I knew I didn't have to overly push the car, just consistent laps and just be faster than him barely, or even be a little slower than him, and then just consistency. And yeah, I mean, I think it was a flawless drive for sure.
Now we were saying this in the break while we were watching you pull off and get a little bit of assistance on the oval coming back to the front. Did you slightly underfuel your car a bit, or no?
No, I wanted to have enough fuel to do some donuts. I wanted to, and this is probably the last time I'm ever gonna run the Ferrari GT3, so I just want to end it in style. So we did some donuts.
Who needs that engine? Who needs that engine anymore?
Yeah,
that is the most
exactly.
awesome thing I've ever heard a winner do. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, you are the champion, you are the race winner, you are the pole sitter, you are everything here today. Congrats, Elvis. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, for sure. I want to, first off, before I really get into the team stuff and everything, I want to thank VRS and Josh Rogers. He helped me out on my setup this week and giving me the edge that I feel like I needed this week to coming into championship week and finishing out the championship. So big thanks to him. And yeah, without him, I couldn't have done what I did tonight, making the car as fast as we were tonight. Orion Race Team, Frosty St. Clair, all my teammates that did amazing tonight. We all finished out the season super strong. Just super proud of the team. We're gonna be back for next season for sure. We have so much fun doing this. Our sponsors, our team sponsors, HPP and JRT. We couldn't do it without them. I want to thank my mom, my dad, my grandma, and grandpa. They've just supported me with the Extreme 99 League so much this season. Helped me out with, you know, just getting here on time and being able to run this league. So I can't do it without all of them. So thank you guys so much. Extreme 99 and Ricmotech, they put this whole deal on in Proforma Elite Texas Graphics, and we couldn't do this with league without them guys. All our league admins, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, Bobby Childs, Russ Ruddock, they all put this whole deal on. And yeah, without this, I think this is the league that I really focus on mainly all the time. And without those guys, we can't do this every Monday and look forward to racing with some of my friends and my teammates and some really fast guys in a really competitive league. So if you're watching on Apex Racing TV and you want a competitive league, I 100% recommend this league. It is the best league that I have ever driven. So competitive, so consistently clean. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. And yeah, last but not least, you guys at Apex Racing TV for broadcasting the whole season.
Well, thank you, Elvis, and I'm pretty sure everyone who supports you is super proud of you right now. Congratulations on your championship, and we'll hope to see you at a later championship time. And speaking of the championships, our final championship point standings, we're going to start off in the GT3s. Elvis, thank you for your time. It is going to be Dennis Savertech taking the GTE championship. You already secured that. Mike Dam finishing in second, just 16 points behind him. And they're followed by Travis Schwenke, Jennifer McDonald, Orion Collins, Arthur Chan, Jordy Fight, Jessica Corral, and Robert Hartley. And Jonathan Corral, your 10-car, your top 10 in the championships. And we go on to the one that everyone wants to look forward to, the GT3s. Their championship total is Elvis Rankin, Cameron Martineau, 7 points separate them at the end. Tyler Giomet finishes in third. Chris Thorman, Jose Diolio, Tony Kernan, Kevin Ford, Bobby Childs, Jeff Jacobs, and Derek Holland, your top 10 in the GT3's final championship results. Larry, how is this race and how is this championship?
Oh, it completely lived up to all the billing. Absolutely. This race was incredible. Just watching that battle of Elvis and Cameron sort of shaping up in the first half as they started to approach the pit window, as a bit of a chess match to see how far could this battle go. And once Cameron came in for the stop and Elvis just turning the mirrors down and going was amazing to see. And Mike Dam, as he even mentioned, it was really hard for him to just put in those qualifying laps over and over again while he's watching his mirrors or watching the relative screen to see where is Savertech and is he coming? And as we noted, he was, and to win this race for him, he felt, you could tell, you can hear his voice, he felt this is pretty special for him as we were talking about to win a race like this under that kind of pressure. It was great to see. Great drives, great battles. We saw the battles of Russ Ruddock, Scott Brooks. We saw the battle at the end of Scott Brooks and Steve Daniel. We saw the battles there of Savertech trying to get by Jennifer McDonald and Robert Hartley. We saw battle all over the place, and I think this race is just it's a great series. Elvis hit it right on the head. It's great competition. It's a great series, and I was so glad to get to be able to bring this out.
It certainly is, and it's a great way to end this championship. The Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment GT Challenge Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics is done. But it is not over yet for the Ricmotech Series, the Sports Car Series, and the Classic Sprint Series. Their finales are coming up next week. Next round is the Classic Sprint Series here over at Sebring. And the Sports Car Series is going to end up their series at Phillip Island. Both of those races will be here on Apex Racing TV. The finales for those are still up in the air for all the Ricmotech series. I want to say thank y'all for watching here on Apex Racing TV. As we also want to promote, we dropped a few hints at it, but the Ricmotech World Challenge Series, it begins January 18th, 2021. The GT3, GTE, LMP2, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Huracans, Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Cadillac Delaras, and the best car in the world, the Corvette C8R.
That's going to be exciting. Yeah, new cars in there with the LMP2s, mixing it up with the GT3s, GTEs. That's going to be pretty exciting. So a whole new era opening up for the Ricmotech series with the World Challenge starting in late January. So definitely looking forward to that. Can't wait.
Can't wait at all. I want to say a big thank you to everybody at Ricmotech for putting on this series. I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us here throughout the entire season on all the broadcasts, supported us, and all the drivers, and had your little in and outs of each other's throughout the season. It was a very fun season. I've been joined by Larry McLeod. Dennis Branch and Alex Simpson has been in the production booth with us. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a fantastic night.